Okay, continuing with Paris to Stefano, or in Latin, De Corona, on the crown. Okay, um, let's take a look at the title here to begin with. Notice it says Huper Tes Tesifontos Peri to Stefano. Okay, um, this was actually a court speech. Yes, it was a political speech, but it was a trial against Ctesiphon. Ctesiphon had proposed that Demosthenes be rewarded with the crown, and Ctesiphon charged, or I'm sorry, and Aeschines charged Ctesiphon for doing something illegal by doing so. Okay. Um, and so this was actually a court speech against Ctesiphon, and Demosthenes is defending Ctesiphon. He's defending his own honor as well, but he's, as far as legally, in a practical sense, he's defending Ctesiphon from being prosecuted. Okay. And so what we have is huper plus the genitive is on behalf of. So this is a speech on behalf of Ctesiphon concerning the crown that Ctesiphon had proposed for Demosthenes. Okay. So, and the Prytanes, okay, they reported back the things that had been reported to them. Um, a herald was asking, okay, imperfect here, okay. Notice we've got an imperfect, it's erotao, it's a contract verb. So this would be, yeah, so that's a contraction there of the E and um, the other vowel. And then, that's why we just have that single long A there for this imperfect ending. Um, so the herald was asking, or kept asking, okay, and then here we have what the herald says. Who wants to address the assembly? Okay. Notice that the word agora means the marketplace, okay? But the marketplace, these two words are very closely related, because the marketplace was where traditionally speeches were given, and the assembly of citizens would be addressed, okay? Um, and but no one was standing up, okay? Another imperfect here, okay? Um, and and then we have what we have here, and we're going to have a few of these in this text, okay? Because this is the chapter where genitive absolutes are introduced, and that's what we have here. We have a genitive absolute. So we've got, this is just like the ablative absolute in Latin, okay? We've got a genitive participle, and then we have the noun, okay? And why does Greek not have the ablative absolute? It doesn't have the ablative. Okay, Greek lost the ablative, and the genitive and dative cases took over the things that the ablative had previously been used for. Okay, that's one of the reasons why genitives and datives in Greek take prepositions, whereas they don't, for the most part, in Latin. Okay. Um, so, and the herald was asking many times, and while the herald was asking many times, okay, very often, no one was standing up. Okay, now we have another big long ablative absolute. Okay, and it's kind of a double one here. Okay, so I'm sorry, did I say ablative? I meant genitive. Okay. Um, uh, while all while all the generals were present, and all the orators understood were present. Okay. Um, and so probably here, probably like although or even though, okay? Because what he's remarking at is here is that all the important people, the people who would have something to say about this, weren't saying anything, okay? So although all the generals were present, okay, and while all the orators understood were present. Okay. Um, Nevertheless, the uh, uh, while the and what he does here is interesting. So again, we another ablative or genitive absolute. Okay, um, the common voice of the fatherland. And notice here, this genitive is not part of the genitive absolute. Okay, it's just a genitive that's being used in the clause. Okay, as a regular genitive. So, um, and even though the voice of the fatherland, the common voice of the fatherland, was summoning. Okay, while the common voice of the fatherland was summoning um, the man who would speak on behalf of safety. Okay, he's being a little hyperbolic here because he's talking about himself eventually. Okay, for the voice of the herald is considered to be the common voice of the fatherland. But that critical moment and that day was calling for not only a well-intentioned man, okay, and a rich man, okay, so, but that critical moment, that crisis point, right, and that very day, the what the crisis and the day themselves were calling, okay, not only for a well-intentioned and wealthy man, but also someone who had followed very closely, okay, the matters of state from the beginning. Okay, and now, and keep in mind, Demosthenes has been engaged in these political battles in Athens for many years by this point. Now, notice what we have here. Here we have a perfect participle. Okay, and he's being described. So the direct object of kale is this man in the accusative case and this man in the accusative case, okay, the rich, the well-intentioned and wealthy man, but also someone who had been very much following, who had been following very closely. Okay, so notice how we would translate this. Probably the best way to translate this is as a relative clause. And notice here, this is also accusative. It's agreeing with this man here, okay? But also a man who has followed very closely the affairs of state from the beginning, and then again parallel participle, okay? And who understands perhaps or infers correctly, okay? The on account of what, okay, and then we're going to jump ahead to make more sense of this, and desiring what, okay, and then here Boulomenos is Philip, okay, so someone who has inferred correctly on account of what, or the reason why, okay, and desiring what, okay, Philip was doing these things. So a lot of people trusted Philip in Athens and were on his side, but Demosthenes did not trust Philip. And this is, again, Demosthenes making a reference to himself. He's that guy, okay, who he's this guy he's describing, okay, in this paragraph. So I appeared then, that man, in on that day, and then the emphatic ego, I, okay? I appeared then, that that person, on that day. I did. I was that person, okay? I appeared, and having come forth, I spoke to you all. So he's saying, yes, there was no one else was willing to speak up. No one else was willing to take responsibility for what was going on, but I was that guy. I was that, and he, and it's a good thing to be well intentioned, but it's also a really good thing to be wealthy, because you can't get stuff done if you don't have that kind of economic power, right? So anyway, that's the second and last installment of On the Crown from Demosthenes. Thank you.